So this episode of Dynamite emanated from Stockton, California. Yeah, the home of the Diaz brothers. Yeah. Get a Stockton slap in your biznatch. But this crowd, I think there was like 3K people there, but they turned out, man. And this crowd should be proud. Everyone should be happy and shouting out this crowd because they fucking turned out and they were loud as shit and they popped for all the right stuff. Guys, surprisingly, I'm going to put over this Dynamite. This was the best episode of Dynamite in so long. If this is what they meant, the anniversary, 4-year anniversary, and it's the reinvent, what do they call it? The new era. If this is the new era, I implore you guys to go check out this episode of Dynamite. I can't stress it enough. Wow. They're clearly listening to the podcast. Clearly, Tony left the Discord, joined the Patreon, and is listening to the podcast every day. Yeah, because they did literal everything. It was all of our favorite wrestlers that me and Hairline are like, well, why isn't it this guy? Or why isn't it more of this? It's literally all those people. And it was format. Okay, none of the matches were too long. The only match that had a chance of going too long ended up getting some time cut from it, which just made the show better, which I'll explain, and it is because of a botch. Now, there's a couple things we're going to criticize and goof on, obviously, because it's fucking AEW, but, dude, overall, like, watch Wrestle Dream, then watch this, and then just, like, start AEW from here. I truly feel like, I don't know what happened. Tony Khan got bit by a bug. Unleash those motherfuckers in his house. Infest his yard with them, whatever they are, whatever bug he got bit with, the PWT bug. Yeah. Because this shit, I don't know. This is a phenomenal Dynamite where I literally could not, like, I was like half working while I was watching and I couldn't look away from the TV. So I said this on a bunch of podcasts ago. Yo, you remember in the Attitude Era when they'd, start the show, like Austin would show up at the arena and then JR would be like, oh my God, Austin's here. What does he want tonight? He's not planned till later tonight, but he's here tonight. And then like Austin might interact with someone and then you're compelled and then you're like, holy shit, when is Austin going to show? They started the show like that. So they kicked the show off. They're in Stockton. We got Renee Paquette, Chris Jericho, and Kenny Omega. Canada, stand up. And they are doing a little interview. Now, I love Jericho and Omega together. This is shit I literally fantasy mark booked when AEW started. This is what Jericho fantasy mark booked when AEW started. Two of the greats in the industry who took completely different roads to get to where they are as far as greatness, but they're from the same place in the world, Winnipeg, Canada, yeah. And then they're going to team up and become the Golden Jets. That is shit I fantasy mark book. That shit's Jericho fantasy mark book. It's cool. They can take, like, Jericho doesn't need to be out there for 30-minute bangers. He's beating up his body a lot. Same with Kenny Omega. So these guys can do their thing without, hurting themselves too much or putting their bodies through too much more. They can share the load a bit. And you see that in their tag matches, which we'll talk about later tonight. But then as we're getting this Canada shit going on and the Jericho Kenny stuff, boom, all of a sudden Edge walks up. As I said before on the pod, Edge is friends with Kenny, he just met Kenny, and that's a dream match. Edge is old buddies with Chris Jericho. And so Edge interrupts. This was so WWE, and fucking AEW fans are going to owe a lot of people apologies, man, for like Edge is going to get over using psychology and good pacing and good character work and storytelling, all the shit they go, WWE's boring. That's what he's going to. And then they'll justify it by going, well, not when it's good. But it's like, no, you shit on WWE. You can't tell me Bloodline's not a good story. Oh, but they fumbled. Look at what Jimmy's doing now. Okay, but for fucking 3 years, it's been the best story. There's a couple of missteps along the way. Days of Our Lives been on for 40 fucking years or whatever. It doesn't mean there wasn't a bit, right? Breaking Bad's the best show ever. It doesn't mean there's not a couple of fucking iffies in there. The first episode in particular of Breaking Bad is the worst episode in the series. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, there's going to be a misstep here and there. With AEW, it's like it's mostly missteps and then a little bit of sweet shit. But this whole episode of Dynamite was fucking phenomenal. So the camera pans over and Edge is standing there. I'm going to keep calling him Edge. Sorry, Adam Copeland, whatever. And, I don't know. The crowd erupts for them again. Stockton, stand up. You guys made tons of noise for how little of people were there. You guys should be proud. and the crowd erupts for him, and then Kenny pops them by going, you really had us on the edge of our seats, and the crowd pops huge for that. And I don't know, fucking shout out maple syrup, shout out Canada, dude. And then I'm like, okay, if so they tease Edge, and then but Edge has to make his mission statement later tonight, which is like, yes, now I'm watching for Edge. So then the next match, AEW International Championship. Now, you guys know how hard I go on the International Championship division, the belt itself. Okay, I'm going to point out some positives here. At least Rey Fenix is an international star, so let me qualify him. He's Mexican. He's a lucha. Furthermore, is not only is he a star and multiple-time champion in America. I sound like Tony Khan in America, and he's well known in Mexico. But he cut his teeth in Canada, guys, in British Columbia. Yeah, so he's on the Victoria, British Columbia Indies and shit in Victoria. You know what I mean? Things like that. So, shout out Rey Fenix. And he comes out with Penn and Alex Abrahantes, and they're about to take on Nick Jackson. Now, Nick, if I got to watch either of the Bucks, I'm going to watch Nick. I don't actually hate the Bucks. Hairline knows this, but I don't. If you're awesome in movies and shit, or like wrestling, I like you in wrestling, I can separate that from like us hanging out. There's certain, it's like I shit on Tony Khan's wrestling shit, but I see myself, he's a wrestling geek like I am, the same thing could be said for the Young Bucks. It's the opposite though. I don't see myself hanging out with these guys and liking it, but I can enjoy what they've done in wrestling. But that being said, I was worried. I was like, oh no, they're going to muddy up. This is what I said, like last show. I'm like, if they don't take advantage of this, they're going to end up putting like Edge. They're going to surround Edge with bullshit. Right. So I was worried that's what this is going to be. But no, guys, like I like flippy shit too. Flippy shit is fun. Flippy shit is fun when it's live wrestling. Flippy shit is fun especially when it's live, but it is fun on TV too. And I don't entirely hate on flippy wrestling, right? So this was a good flippy fucking match. I gotta be honest. Now, was there some ridiculous shit? Yes, but was it a solid match? And I think Phoenix ended up winning with a roll up. They were both selling really good. One dude was selling a foot, one dude was selling his back. And it wasn't like they were selling because of like, oh, they worked on it kind of thing. They were selling because like they botched and did silly shit. So this was a good indie match, but it didn't go too long. And it was like the flippy segment of the show. The rest of the show wasn't all flips and crazy shit. It was just, this was the flippy shit of the show. And it didn't go too long. So it was phenomenal, honestly. And there was some false finishes. And in AEW, you never buy the false finishes. But I don't know. They were good enough. They were passable. Like if you just isolate this show, they were passable and good. You know what I'm saying? So now, hey, I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, this is the best match I've ever seen. But it's like, okay, a little bit of flippy shit. All right. Maybe it hooked people in. Maybe it turned people. I bet it turned people off. But that being said, at least they just featured two guys who do the flippy shit, who have chemistry. They've worked each other a million times, so it's not just like two green guys who haven't worked together, Anyways, though, moving along, footage was shown from with Adam Cole visiting Roderick Strong's house, and the Kingdom was watching it. They did like a MJF Adam Cole thing, except for with Roderick Strong, where he's like Adam, and it was super funny. And he brought out like a tricycle, and then they both had wheels, so they're like injured together, so they're hanging out together more. It's rather ingenious. Who are the people under the mask with Jay White? I think it'll be Adam Cole and them. I think the swerve is like, okay, like Christopher Daniels could have been under that devil's mask, right? Like it could have been anyone under the mask, right? Like when you remember when the terrorists attacked Undertaker on SmackDown? Well, like Val Venus was one of the terrorists, right? Under the mask. It was just a body under a mask. It's not like, oh, it's going to be revealed Val Venus. So it could have been anyone under the devil mask, and then they'll just reveal it was Adam Cole once he's healed or whatever, right? And then they'll reveal Adam Cole and Roderick Strong will both be quote unquote healed when it's done, and it will be them in the Kingdom. And then they'll be like, oh, we did this, like we've been silently having your back, and then Adam will go heel, and then Max will have to face him, which sort of means Jay White is probably not going to win the title, which is fine because he's a credible threat to the world title, which now MJF's in a real world title angle, which we'll get to in a bit. But the audio fucked up on this segment, so they had to replay it. Now, I would normally roast this, but it was actually a big time W because this segment was really funny. And you could hear, like, I guess they blamed it on TBS. It seemed more like an AEW production botch. Taz was like, you could just tell the look on his face was like, oh my God, you guys, like, how every week are we doing the same audio issues? And so there was the audio issues again. And so they replayed the package after a bit, right? Which I'll explain. But this segment, vignette, whatever you want to call it, but this segment was actually good. Like, it was popping me. You could hear it through the TV, but I had to like turn my TV up, and the crowd was popping really good for it. So you could tell that they had it, that they could hear it in the arena really well, and it was going over in the arena as well, or the arena, I'm calling it, whatever, the stadium, whatever the fuck it is, the building. Okay, so anyways, up next we get Griff Garrison comes out, and you're like, okay, haven't seen him in a long ass time. Good to see him, I guess. What the fuck? And then all of a sudden, fucking Wardlow's music hit, and Wardlow comes back and just squashes Garrison with like 10 power bombs, pins him. The crowd wanted to see him. The crowd's chanting Wardlow, Wardlow. They're popping for the power bombs. He's super over. He gets in and out like it should be. Looks like $1 million, and the ref stopped the match by KO. Because Wardlow wouldn't pin him, he just kept power bombing him to death. So the ref's just like, it's over. Fuck, man. Another fucking, I'm going, holy shit, we got Wardlow back. Like, dude. So all I'm saying is that the show starts off really well. Then we get the flippy shit, and I'm super nervous. And then it was actually a good flippy shit match where guys were selling shit. And like, I'm not a small package guy, but the flippy guys won with a small package. I don't know. It was good. They were both selling. It was great. And then this vignette with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, super good. Then Garrison comes out, I'm nervous. Wardlow comes and just bodies him, right? Ref stoppage. I love it. Renee's backstage with Don Callis and Takeshita. Now, I put over the fucking Callis family. Don Callis is saying, yeah, we're, Sammy Guevara's actually injured, which sucks. Will Ospreay obviously is not there all the time. So he's like, we have another young guy. Like, we have lots of young people trying to join our faction. So the next young guy I got who I want to join the faction is Kyle Fletcher. Now, obviously, he's one of the Aussie Open guys. Obviously, Tony Khan sees something in him. I don't know, man. I think Aussie Open, yeah, they end up splitting up, and I think this Fletcher kid's going to get a great push. And I instantly went, oh, no, like, this is going to shit up this match, right? So they're basically like, Fletcher is going to team up with Takeshita later tonight, and he might join our family too. You know, we got lots of young people who want a part of this, right? So a little bit of sizzle there for what happens later. And this was good. Callis is always good on the stick, and they said Fletcher, and I kind of groaned, but I'm going to put it over after. Surprisingly, you guys are probably like, Phil, what the fuck? So up next, we had the AEW Trios Championship match. But first, they go, TBS fucked up on the audio, so here's the Roderick Strong Adam Cole thing again. Now, I was like, oh, you guys, but this, I'm going to put it over because I got to watch it back and hear it with better audio, and I popped for it again because it's a good segment, right? Like, you guys can't deny that these Adam Cole MJF shits, they're funny, you know? If you're going to like do wrestling in this way where it's like you're filming cinematics and shit, you know, this is good for that stuff, right? We can't shit on it. Even WWE did it. Undertaker and AJ did it. John Cena did it with Bray, right? Everyone does this shit. So you gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta, like, okay, it's a part of wrestling now. We gotta take the good, you know? So it's objectively good, you know, like good, funny, quality shit, right? It's not filmed poorly. It's funny. So I popped for it again. And then, so they had the Trios Championship match, the Butcher, the Blade, Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford. So again, it's just the Acclaimed stuffed in a random jobber match, but everybody loves the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed, pun intended, the Acclaimed come out, they body it with the fucking rhymes. Caster looks like he's straight freestyling. And that's how he seemed. Like, this one seemed more off the top than anything. I know a little bit about this stuff, not to pull the curtains back, but one of my many things is I do work with a lot of rappers in my day. So I can tell you guys firsthand, like I don't know, he was coming with venom. And then it was the Butcher, the Blade, and Kip Sabian. So they replayed the Adam Cole thing, which is maybe not even 5 minutes long, I wouldn't say. So then it just chopped like the 3 or 4 minutes that this stupid jobber trio match was gonna fucking go. Do you guys know what I mean? Like it just condensed it into a quick squash match for the trios champs. And you know what I mean? Like it was like a hard fought squash, like it was a rugged match where these jobbers came hard, but the Acclaimed inevitably put him away in just a few minutes. It was like a quick NWA style match. And I'm like, this is how you book wrestling. Like, thank God they had to replay that package or this match would have went 4 minutes too long. So it was like a fuck up that turned into a W for AEW. So that it was very Vince of them too to go, no, fuck you. We're going to do it again, pal. Yeah. Shout out Tony Khan for that. Up next, we got Juice Robinson and the Guns. They come out and they're like calling out MJF. The Guns are money. Juice is money. It's fucking BCG 444 for life. And then they call out MJF and they're just like, look, dude, like, fuck you. We know it was you. We're going to beat your ass for jumping our boy. MJF pleads his case, but he's not being a pussy. He calls them all out. He pulls a rock and says, oh, we're going to have this side of the arena go ass boys. And then this side of the arena is going to go talentless taint. And even though one side of the arena was empty, but they still shout out Stockton. Like they were loud as fuck. I don't know if AEW figured out how to like mic the crowd better. I'm not sure if they figured that out or anything, but this crowd was actually lit for everything. So Max roasts them though. And is like, he goes over the shit he's done and everyone pops for like all the heel shit he's done over the 4 years. And then he talks about whipping Cody Rhodes with the belt and all that. And then he roasts these guys. I don't know. He does little childish. He's catering to the man children. I've said it before. So, but this was really strong stuff. And again, it's featuring all the wrestlers I like. So then MJF is like, I know, let's have a Stockton street fight. He gets in the ring and the Bullet Club Gold, they're like, you know what I mean? They're like acting scared and they're like, oh no, don't come get us. And then they powder out. And then MJF's like, what the fuck? And then Jay White runs up behind him, hits the switchblade. Jay White grabs the AEW world title, jacks it. He just steals the triple B from MJF, and then he cuts a promo. Jay White's always fire on the promo. MJF and Jay White is a brilliant matchup. I'm so glad Jay White's in the world title picture. Now, throughout this show, Switchblade Jay White referred to the AEW World Championship as the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, something they do many times throughout the show, which I'm going to touch on in a bit. But yeah, so this was great shit. And then they're going to have a match at Full Gear. Yeah. So now Renee Paquette's backstage with FTW champion Hook and Orange Cassidy. They're eating chips and just going whatever. This was the biggest. Why even waste 3 minutes on this show? They should have cut this segment out to replay the fucking Adam Cole thing, because this was pointless. This was dumb. This is Tony Khan stuffing these guys on here, but it was relegated to one segment and then it was nowhere else to be seen on the show. That's all Orange Cassidy did. He ate a Lay's chip. It was literally 1 second of time, so I can't shit on it that bad. Please keep it to a minimal. Put Orange on Rampage. I'm sorry. I know you guys like this guy. I didn't realize he's 40. People are like, Orange is I think that international title run was his run. I feel like that was his career run for Tony Khan. I truly think that. I don't think Tony Khan is going I'm going to make him world champ after and shit. I don't think that's what he's going to do. And if he does, okay, but I just don't. I think that was Orange's run right there in the business. And now he's going to help out more backstage and just do comedy shit, because at least that's what I'm hoping, because they kept this to a minimum, thank God, and it's just ruining Hook. No one wants to see Hook with Cassidy. I don't know. You can just tell Tony Khan had to stuff this in there. So this is the one thing I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. But they are setting up the rematch, though, Phoenix versus Mox next week. So yeah, dude, Title Tuesday, Tony Khan's birthday present to himself. So then we had the Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. They took on the Don Callis family, Takeshita and Cal Fletcher. Now, Callis is fire at the commentary booth. This match was actually great. It was great. They weren't doing too much, and somehow Fletcher fits seamlessly in here. Like, he's better in this group than Guevara. Like, he tags with Takeshita. He has just automatic chemistry with all these guys. I don't know. There's something in Fletcher that clearly everyone sees. I see it too. He's a guy that if you put him in WWE, he's gonna be a good hand. You put him in AEW, he's gonna be a good hand. You put him anywhere, he's gonna be a good hand. I don't know. He fit in this match so well. I couldn't even believe it, and I hope, fuck man, Aussie Open should just join the family. And now the family's getting super over with me. Omega and Jericho are getting over with me. They're not. I said it. I was like, dude, they're going to team up and it's going to be chubby Jericho botching all the double teams that Kenny wants to do with him. No, their double teams are like double suplex. They do the fucking Judas effect elbow, and then Kenny gets the guy up and one winged angels him and pins him. Kyle was working well. Takeshita is $1 million. Fucking Jim Cornette will tell you that. That guy is another guy. Like, if you put him in WWE, he'd be a top guy without question. He is a phenomenal athlete. He's just smooth, man. His shit looks real. He's believable. His selling's good. Oh man, it's the little things Takeshita does. Like, someone grabs him by the back of the head and they try to walk him to the corner. And they walk him to the corner to maybe, slam his head in the corner, or when you toss him, when you sling him for an Irish whip. It's just the way that Takeshita runs, hits the ropes, the way he's placing his head. I don't know. It's just those little things that register with me where I go, he just gets it, like he's a star, like just waiting to explode. And they're booking him so well. And so the big thing though is, so the Jericho and Omega get the win. Finally, Omega gets a win. He's been losing a bunch, but then Powerhouse Hobbs, man, jumps Jericho and Omega, slaughters them both. Powerhouse Hobbs is in the Callis family. I'm going, yeah, let's go. Powerhouse Hobbs. We got Wardlow. Like, this show was fucking awesome. And I don't know if I skipped over it, but at one point as well, I'll talk about it after. Powerhouse Hobbs, man, he just beats the fuck out of Jericho and Omega. Now, this segment did go a little long, and it's because Callis duct taped Omega's hands to the ropes so that they could beat him down with a chair. Omega's left hand wouldn't stay taped to the rope, right? So what's his face was just fucking Takeshita was just holding his arm on the rope, and then Omega's other hand was taped so tightly to the rope you could see it going like pale and blue, dude. I could see it and I was calling it out. And so what happens is, then you got Hobbs holding that arm, and then Callis grabs a chair and he does a fucking chair shot, dude. A chair shot to the fucking head of Kenny Omega. Now, I'm okay with these, and he caved this chair in on Omega's head. Now, I'm okay with these once in a while, and people go, no, listen. MMA fighters get hit in the head. Football players get hit in the head. They find CTE in runners and soccer players. So soccer players head the ball, and from running, they find it in Olympic runners and bicyclists. They find CTE from fucking running and pedaling, bouncing up and down. What they're finding is, when you have a baby, you put a baby on your lap and you shake them on your thigh. Doctors tell you don't do that. You shouldn't be doing that, apparently. So just a word to the wise, dude. Like, and we all were treated that way. It's probably why society's dumbing down so much. No, I'm just joking, but no, like, I'm okay with the chair shot as long as like everyone involved is okay, and it's just once in a while, and it means something. And this did mean something, but Kenny couldn't sell it as good. Like, instantly you could see he started untaping his other wrist. So people are going to shit on him for not selling the chair shot, but his hand probably felt like it was going to pop off. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had that, where your finger or something, like the circulation's being cut off. That shit is fucked. And you could see his hand was fucking pasty, like it was turning blue, so he was ready to, I don't know, you could just see him hurrying to get that tape off of the one wrist. So the one wrist wouldn't tape, and the other one fucking was taped too hard. But I don't know. Again, this is another great, like, Hobbs just left them both dead, and then he took the head chair shot. And I'm just like, God damn, man, they are really like getting this over with me. I don't know. And the Callis family's getting hot. And this angle was nice. I love this. Great heat. And it just went a smidge too long, but you could tell they were just fumbling with the fucking tape. So, and then like Hobbs too, he's a little green as far as like, you know, timing and shit, but it's all coming together. It's Callis is going to work with him. And I don't know. I like this young Callis family. I can't put it over enough. So Renee Paquette's backstage with MJF. She asks MJF how he's doing. MJF's like, it'd be an easier pill to swallow if Adam Cole was here. Max Caster sneaks up behind MJF and starts massaging him. And then MJF's like, dude, stop talking to me. Stop fucking sending me creepy, sus fucking. I don't know. The whole gimmick is that, like, okay, Anthony Bones is gay. Max Caster is like a straight dude, but he might be DL. He's kind of sus. He's like a Drake. You know, his wrestling gimmick is Drake. He's like a really good rapper, probably in the closet, but isn't, you know, type thing. And that's like, and then his partner's outwardly gay and is his hype man. It's fucking genius, you know. It's so good. And then you just have Daddy Ass, who's just like, you know, he's the ass man, you know, dude. He loves to hug him, he loves to kick him, he loves to shove him, he likes to kiss him. He's the ass man, dog. Yeah, get me the ass man. So anyways, though, yeah, he's sussing out MJF calls Adam Cole, goes to voicemail. At some point, we get a Samoa Joe package where he again refers to the AEW title as the World Heavyweight Championship. Again, something I told AEW to do this whole time. I've been saying since the beginning of this podcast, hey, weight classes work. Establish your title as the heavyweight title and then make a junior heavyweight title and do all the flips. And everyone will go, oh, that's okay. That's how you win. Trust me. Okay. So it looks like that's what they're headed towards, which I'll explain a bit later. So up next, though, we get the main event. So they pulled a WWE here. They pulled a WWE. They put a solid, strong women's match in the main event match slot, but the main event segment was the person we all came to see. So they pulled a Monday Night Raw. Yeah, and all the AEW stands have to apologize to everyone. They're doing WWE and it's their best shit. Right? So all you stands who are going, what a great Dynamite, you have to. So it was shorter matches, less flippy shit, focused on a few strong angles, focused on getting certain people over, featured the wrestlers that everyone wants to see. Like it was all big body shit. And then we had one match that was like flippy cruiserweight shit. So this is WWE. They featured a women's match in the fucking main event. Right, but the main event wasn't the main event, and y'all didn't even think about that, and you're gonna put this shit over, and then you're gonna put over this Edge Christian shit, which is the most WWE shit ever, and you're gonna put this shit over. Meanwhile, you call this shit all the time, and that's why Hairline and I try to point this shit out to you guys. That's why we do our show the way we do it, because we need motherfuckers to understand. That's why we do our clips the way we do them, because we need people to understand. Hopefully, if we can wake up a few people. Like, nah, you got to call it out when it's good. You got to call it out when it's bad. Simple and plain. So this was all really great. It's great. We got a segment with Toni Storm with RJ City, and she's just more of a wreck. And she's just like grabbing him and touching him like inappropriately and just like all over him, like, the business, it's all this stuff. And then, like, she's just acting like fucking Marilyn Monroe. And she's like, oh, times have passed me by. And what am I to do? What am I to do? And then RJ City goes, you're not even that old. And then Toni Storm goes, you're right. I'm timeless. And now she's full blown in this gimmick. She's like a 1930s, 1920s movie film actress in distress on the tail end of her career. Her attire is like old. It's like modern because it's hiked up on her nice juicy booty. Sorry, I gotta call it out. You know what you're doing, Tony. And it's like more of like a sexy version of like what Mildred Burke would wear, of like what Fabulous Moolah would wear back in the day. And it's just all black, simple, no design, black boots. And she's got her hair's done, whatever, and her makeup's all distraught. And she comes out like she's been, you know, smoking cigarettes and drinking wine and taking pills type thing. And she's just this distraught actress, the timeless Toni Storm. And the music's different. And just her gimmick, the way she's working the crowd, the way she works her hip attack move now, the whole gimmick is just awesome. And then Sky Blue, so she wrestles Sky Blue and she beats Sky Blue, which is the way it should be. But fuck, man, Sky Blue is just better with every single match. And she was phenomenal in this match, dude. She knew where to be. I don't know. She has a future. Sky Blue, again, in AEW, WWE, wherever they put her, she's going to be good. It's kind of shitty where it's like, Sky Blue, like, are you in Ring of Honor? Like, I would love to see her, like, just maybe doing something with Athena. Like, they already did something, but like doing a real story. You know, she wrestled Athena just because, like, oh, she's on a winning streak. I would love to see Sky just be more active in the division and just, I don't know, team pair with someone who can cut better promos, whatever. But she was phenomenal in this match. That thing's thanging too, bro. Both these girls are just and but the match was great too, honestly, and it didn't feel like it went too long. Like I was just into the match because Tony was, I don't want to say carrying it, but she's calling it, and just shout out both of these women. So we get Renee backstage again with Stokely Hathaway. And yeah, I think I mentioned Samoa Joe, though. He's like wearing a suit, smoking a cigar, drinking whiskey, putting over the title. He's like, I've been a champion everywhere I've gone. And he's just like, I'm coming for the world heavyweight title. It's just, they're just putting over that it's the world heavyweight championship, which I love. So Renee was backstage with Stokely Hathaway. He cut some shit saying on Rampage, there's going to be a 4-way to determine the challenger for Eddie Kingston's ROH World Championship. And it's like Lindsay Dorado versus Commander versus fucking just so Rampage is still Rampage. Rampage is just random and good though. Like, have a show for your random Mark Dark elevation matches and shit. Like, do that. I don't give a fuck. Like, keep it there. Like, and they're really, you can tell they're building up this Collision. Edge is going to be on it, and I just can't wait for Collision now either. They're getting me invested. Like, okay, Dynamite, Collision, Raw, SmackDown. Like, I'm really actually like hyped for Collision again. So thank God. And the last Collision was a good show. Like, their last couple Collisions have been good. Production botches aside. Or the last Collision, I don't know if I was too big on it, but the one before was good. Anyways, so yeah, this is, I don't know. They just have Stokely. I love Stokely, but Eddie's like, whatever. I got nothing. Someone took like a shot at him about, yeah, Stokely did. He's like, called him, I don't know. We call him fucking Ben and Jerry's. That's what Hairline calls him, but I think he made some sort of fucking ice cream reference or something. I don't know, dude. Stokely Hathaway listens to PWT, confirmed. Yeah. Yeah. So the main event segment, the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland makes his Dynamite debut, and I realized that his music actually goes, "You think you know him." It's not "You think you know me." WWE owns that. It goes, "You think you know him." Dun, 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 which is funny because some people memed that on like fucking X and Twitter. So there you go. So Edge comes out, he gets a huge pop, and he only runs to one side of the fucking arena instead of both to do his like stage taunt or whatever he does, because only one side of the building's full. Not to be a hater. I'm not hating on that at all. And this segment was fucking brilliant. He calls out Christian Cage and says, or he just says what he says, that he reiterates what he said at the press conference. He's like, look, I'm here to make a difference. And I could wrestle Jay White, Juice Robinson, Kenny Omega, all these fucking people I never had a chance to wrestle. I can wrestle now. And not only that, my daughter said, why don't you go have fun with Uncle Jay? He goes, so I'm going to call Jay down here, or who you guys know, I'll call him Christian Cage, because that's what you guys call him. So Christian Cage, get out here. Christian comes out. And let me just tell you, Edge is banging on the mic, emotional, passionate. But I have it in my notes. I'm going to just do my notes after, because I know I wrote over some things that I forgot to bring up. But, Edge, he's used to the old Vince fucking, look at the universe, pal. Don't look at the camera. And so Edge is and you see it with a lot of these guys, like he's looking at the crowd. So he's facing away from the hard cam for a bunch of it because there's nobody over there. And he's not, and that's why most people in AEW, they just start looking in the camera because the hard cam's on that side. So they look in the camera and fucking cut their promos when they want to face that side of the arena, right? So even Edge, when he does his normal hard cam metal fingers, right? He did it to the other side of the arena because there's nobody fucking, I don't know, man. They got to figure out what, like, the way they set up the pay-per-view was great. They put all the 6K people just around the ring, and then they just sort of filmed around that, and then they had enough people to kind of fill that hard cam side. They got to figure out or just start running smaller buildings if that's gonna how it's gonna be, or hopefully their attendance goes up because of these good shows. But this was all fucking money. But Edge was at first just awkward. You could tell he's like, try to talk to the universe, pal, but he just couldn't because he didn't know. It's like, no, Edge, look in the camera, like just look in the hard cam. So, anyways, though, Edge is marking out because he's in the ring with Tony Schiavone. He kicks Schiavone out of the ring, which is cringe. Like, why have him there? Like Edge is like, yeah, get out of here. So he takes off, whatever. Christian comes down. His facials are great. These guys just fucking are so good. And Edge is just cutting this promo like, dude, it's impassionate. He's like, dude, for 40 years, we've been best friends. Like, it's time. It's time. What we always talked about, Christian, it's time. And Christian's not saying anything. He's just looking there with a look on his face like he's really considering this shit. Bro, this was fucking money and brilliant. Edge is like, it's time. What we always talked about. Now's the time for us to team up again and end our careers together, showing, like, beating the Young Bucks, beating FTR, showing these teams that we're the fucking best in the world, showing this new generation, like, what the fuck we came to do. He's like, come on, man, that's what it is. Opens his arms out for a hug. Christian comes in like he's about to cry. He hugs Edge. He holds the mic behind Edge's back and he's like, go fuck yourself. But they censored it. And he said, go fuck yourself. And they fucking censored it. And the fucking crowd was like, oh shit. And then Christian just walked out of the ring, walked away. Edge's face selling it so good. And then they kind of muddied it up with Christian going, here's a taste of what you're going to get on Collision or on Dynamite next week. And then it's fucking Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne come out. That was a little too much. They didn't attack him. They just stood on the ramp and then the show went off air. They should have just went off air with fucking Christian just staring at Edge or whatever, and then Edge looking shocked, whatever. It was like a Monday Night Raw, dude. It went off the air exactly like a WWE would. I was hooked to so much of the show. I could not look away from the TV, especially this segment. I couldn't look away. I had to rewind some shit and watch some of it again because it was just so good. And yeah, man, this is a really fucking strong Dynamite. I'm super pumped to watch Collision and see Edge on there. And I'm super pumped for Title Tuesday on Tony's birthday. It'll be great. Yeah, October, babies. And I booked Title Tuesday, October 10th on my own birthday. I booked Edge's debut match on my own birthday, and I moved Dynamite to Tuesday for my birthday. It'll be great. And I love it, dude. I love that, and I'm excited for next week's Title Tuesday to see Tony Khan, I don't know, book this whole fucking show for himself. So I did take some notes here. These were my notes as I was watching. I'll just breeze through this. So I wrote, everything was so good. The pacing and formatting, the production botched this Adam Cole thing, but they replayed it, and apparently it was on TBS's end. Also, it just shed a few minutes off the 6-man bullshit match, which made it better. I wrote, Kenny took the chair shot to the head. Hobbs joins the Callis fam, which is awesome. It went a little too long and got botched because of the tape. Kenny couldn't sell the chair shot well enough because the circulation was being cut off in his hand. Either way, great heat. Chair shots to the head are okay once in a while. I wrote, timeless Tony Storm is on another level. There's dope vignettes for Samoa Joe and shit. They used wrestlers. I love this show. They kept the flippy shit to one match. I wrote, Edge is in there. Or I wrote, MJF is in a real title match situation with Jay White. That's compelling and awesome. Edge is here. They're referring to the AEW title as the AEW World Championship now. The World Heavyweight Championship, rather. Sorry. They're referring to it as the heavyweight title. They showed the matches for Rampage, and that's still random, whatever. I wrote, they need to keep this going. This is actually a new era if they keep booking and formatting like this, and they got me wanting to watch Collision again. Excalibur botched a few times. He just should only be on Rampage and kept off the main shows. I'm sorry, he's just insufferable. Also, Edge's music in AEW goes, you think you know him, not me. Okay, I talked about all that. And I wrote, I'm just marking out so hard seeing E and C in the ring together, bro. It's insane. They're doing brilliant work like I knew this would be. This Dynamite was so WWE and so good. Also, the AEW World title was referred to as the World Heavyweight Championship multiple times by multiple people. on this show. They're making a conscious effort to get that heavyweight title across, and I'm so thankful. It's like Tony Khan is listening to the pod confirmed. Yeah, I mean, I called it. Edge and Christian are going to fight and then team up, which is what it is. They laid the seeds, right? They're going to fight, then they're going to team up. And then I just wrote, they literally pulled my suggestion of showing the big star at the start, teasing him, and then waiting till the end. They did a WWE booking, solid women's match in the main event, then had a brilliant ratings grabbing segment at the end of the show, something that people will tune in at the end of the show to watch. The matches were all perfect lengthwise for me. Great stuff. Great job, AEW. They fucking did it. I was talking to Hairline today. He's doing real good, guys. And he's, I don't know if, I don't think he watched Dynamite yet. Hopefully he's as pumped as on it as I am, or as I was. And yeah, man, I'm just excited to, I don't know, man, see where they take this thing. Honestly, I'm staying optimistic. Things weren't perfect, but they're good enough.